Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Style Esports Season 6. If you missed us from yesterday, we're back once again. Thousand Eyes and me, Dia, are back to take you through this time the Syndicate versus Mythic Esports, and we are already well into the draft.
Yeah, absolutely here. And there's a couple things that I'm looking for here. Mythic banning the Swain away, banning the Galio away because Corando, he plays two champions exceedingly consistently, and that is those two, and he will pop off if given them. So Mythic is basically stuck no matter what side, banning both those champions. Syndicate a little bit more free to ban away other things that they don't want to deal with. The Gnar from Tedadura is going to be taken away. I'm not sure what else they really are going to prioritize. The Udyr, I think, is a great ban. He is nerfed. We are on a new patch today. Udyr has a little bit less health, a little bit less damage on the Phoenix stance, but in my opinion, he's still going to be an exceedingly strong jungler.
Yeah, Seraphine and Kaisa also very highly prioritized bans. So as we do see the follow-ups here, I do want to see if we actually get to recognize those faces. Rakan is an interesting second ban away, and it doesn't seem like that was in error in any way. It's also worth noting, as we do continue in this draft, that these teams have faced up before.
Yeah, and it was, I believe, Syndicate that did pull off the win. So it is a rematch with Mythic having somewhat of a little bit revenge in the mind there. The Galio going to be taken away here. And we'll see what Syndicate want to prioritize. The Seraphine is available. Toxic Vein does play this in the 80 carry role. So that is an option for them. They can flex that into any of the lanes. Seraphine has been nerfed this patch as well. The note damage when grouped up is going to be a little bit less from the allies, and the ultimate cooldown was dropped 20 seconds at rank 1, making it a total of 3 minutes, which is that is a long cooldown.
Yeah, it's funny that just from yesterday to today, we are seeing a very different League of Legends, at least in some ways, but in others, like you say, the Seraphine lock-in first priority is very similar to what we're used to. We'll see if it plays out to the same extent. Lulu Ashe appear to be our first lock-ins for the side of Mythic Esports, and that, while we're still waiting for the Ashe to be locked in, is surprising nonetheless.
It is, unless you know these players a little bit. Oh, the Grave's going to be locked in there. So Lulu is one mustaches top champion. Kaswardi, Samira was the top champion, but she has been hit very hard with the nerf bat recently. And the next on the list is actually the Ashe. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ashe come through there. Rel going to be taken here for OTGG. Yeah, Yorick. That is Pure Salt's top champion there. Yorick is definitely in the wheelhouse and super comfortable for Pure Salt, as well as the Rel on OTGG. Really hits good engages on these, and the Vayne is going to be locked in here for Kaswardi.
I like this pickup, especially with the Lulu, and there's a lot of ability to outplay around the team fight that Syndicates currently have for themselves, especially with somebody like Yorick. They've yet to pick up a champion that can really consistently get on top of a Vayne.
Yeah, which is great. The Rel is fairly slow. Vayne can tumble out of the way from it, and you're seeing the Kha'Zix ban come through. They're going to take away some of the backline access here for Syndicate. I'm kind of surprised to see the Vayne alongside the Graves here, because usually you want to see a little bit more frontline to keep this Vayne, safe, create more space for her, only let one person through at a time. With the Graves, it is going to be a little bit more bursty, but it is going to still be risky for this Vayne, even if they do get to ban away all of this backline, the access that Syndicate could pick up.
Yeah, you've got to draft yourself some sort of other safety outside of Lulu for the Vayne, and I think looking at this, that's got to come from something like the top lane. I know that we were talking about champion pools a little bit before, but something like Volibear would fit in really well here, and we know that at least is in his champion pool.
Yeah, absolutely is, as the Victor also going to be taken away. Jax is being hovered on that ban there. The Karma also banned away. A little surprised there. Karma one did get a buff this patch, 1 second lower on all the levels of Q for the cooldown. But I don't think you'd really be taking it anywhere other than in support in this scenario here, because if you are running Lulu and Karma, that's not enough for Vayne to feel like she can walk up at all into a Rel, Seraphine, and Yorick. So that one I feel is a little bit of a mistake ban here. The Victor is going to be just, once again, taking Corando down a level in terms of comfort, taking away something that is safe and just comfortable for him. The Irelia pickup here, I really like this because this is a flex pick here. This could go in the mid lane. This could go into the top lane there. Tetador generally likes to play stuff that is a little bit more frontliney, a little bit more kind of just hold the line and don't lose lane up against these more kind of bruiserish type of champions that Pure Salt likes to play. So this could go either way. I'd like to see a bit more tank, but right now we are seeing a very heavy AD team from Mythic, and this is really going to be a rough time, honestly, if Mythic get into the late game, even with the Vayne.
For those of you that can't see the client, by the way, Leona in this draft will be representing Lilia for the moment. The champion hovered immediately after. So we got a Lilia in the jungle, a Rel in the support, and a Misfortune in the AD carry. Now, though, with all of that revealed, what will Mythic Esports choose to lock in? With a mid laner that can't really punish, it seems like it's going to be Kassadin.
Yeah, so that will be the Kassadin. Seraphine already fairly weak in the early game despite that range, and Kassadin's passive of taking less magic damage. That is a perfect opportunity there. It rounds out your composition so much better than the heavy AD you've had. You now have in the late game 2 champions that are going to be in opposite sides of the fights that are both going to be high priority targets. You have Vayne, who's going to be in the back line, staying really, or in their own back line, trying to stay safe and just kite people out. And then you have the Kassadin, who's going to be able to blow up 95% of Syndicate's team here. The Rel is going to be a little bit iffy. Yorick in the late game will take a little bit more to take down. But the Lilia, the Seraphine, and the Misfortune, Kassadin is going to be able to get all over those 3 champions.
Yeah, this is actually a perfect exemplification of a concept that I like to talk about a lot for Mythic Esports, and that is peel via distraction. Because you can either peel for people by taking people off of them, saying, no, you can't touch my Vayne, or you can say, are you sure you want to touch my Vayne, or do you want to deal with the Kassadin and Aurelia in your backline?
Absolutely. It's not going to be fun now in the Mythic late game. Whereas I was saying, like, it looked like it was going to be a struggle for them, even with the Vayne. Now they've rounded out a lot more magic damage on their team. This also will, I'm assuming, be the Everfrost on the Kassadin there. So that's going to be a very large amount of crowd control coming out from that Kassadin as well. The ability to lock people down. And Syndicate's basically just going to have to get into this mid game here, use the huge power spike that you get from Seraphine, Yorick, Lilia, Rel, all those champions. They have really strong mid game power spikes with their ultimates because they can just lock people down. It's important to note too, I'm going to get this before I forget to say it. Lilia's ultimate is not opened, or it is not woken up by periodic damage like Misfortune ult. So if you get put to sleep and Misfortune ults over top of it, you will not wake up from the bullet time. You will just be stuck in the bullet time the entire time.
Ooh, that could be a little fun interaction to see hit the ref. Not one that I have personally been privy to, but certainly I'm always excited for new things, and especially interactions like that will be bringing a little bit of excitement to the Rift. Excitement can come from anywhere, though, this game, as if we look across the lanes, outside of the Seraphine mid lane, there's a lot of snowball potential in every single one of these.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're taking the Kassadin into account, that can snowball out of control pretty quickly if Seraphine's not careful. Once that level 6 comes through, it is now, a point where Seraphine could get jumped very easily. And Seraphine not known for being the tankiest champion. So that one, once that level 6 hits in the mid lane, that is really kind of going to be starting to see the the scariness come out from that Kassadin, but it is the level 11 point where Papa Boost is going to be able to really make these objectives hard to handle because of the mobility of the Kassadin. But yeah, this top lane, it is going to be very back and forth. It is going to be very much whoever gets the lead early on. Irelia does have a much stronger early game because of her passive. But if Yorick is able to control that lane and get those little undead minions up, it will make it hard for Irelia to really try and deal with all the damage going on. I believe actually Irelia should be able to Q reset pretty easily off of the undead minions. So Pure Salt's gonna have to play that pretty carefully. I'm assuming he knows how to play against that, but we'll see.
And my question on the other side of that is, does Tessadur actually know how to play into a Yorick on the Aurelia? Because as you mentioned, the Aurelia is a little bit of a new look for this top laner, very much used to playing the neutralizing laners. Aurelia in this case is really not that. As much as you may have picked it to try and go up against the Yorick in a good matchup, neutralization is not the objective here.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a champion that you're looking to try and get a pop off early, and kind of like if you're looking at a mid game champion, you have the Graves and the Irelia to kind of hit that 1 or 2 item tower spike and be able to get your team across the finish line, or not across the finish line, but up until they pass the baton off to Kassadin and Vayne. If these champions lose early, it is going to take a long time for Mythic to actually come online and be scary in these fights.
It certainly is, and with their power spikes being able to be delayed like that, I expect the Syndicate to be playing proactively, to be playing around those objectives that you'd alluded to just a few seconds ago. But speaking of time, we've only got a little bit of it until we get into the game. It is the Syndicate versus Mythic Esports for Game 1 coming at you in just a few minutes. We'll be right back with it. Don't go anywhere. We enter the rift. We find our protagonists, the Syndicate, versus Mythic Esports as they do head out onto the rift. 1,000 eyes watching over them with each one of their 1,000 eyes. And Dia prepared to catch the bloodshed that will ensue. None of these teams, though, opting into it too early on, as we are getting a pretty passive start.
Yeah, not too much going on. Just everybody going on their merry way for that 5-point start. Both junglers getting the ward in the pixel rush there, not getting any deep vision. So it's going to be a fairly informationless start for both teams here.
I really do appreciate, though, that even if we aren't getting a lot of high-level gameplay at 1 minute into the game, we're at least getting some high-level skin play. I really like the top laner's choice, as we are getting Panda Yorick, even a Cosmic Lulu right there. I mean, everything is so on point right now.
Absolutely. The Graves, looking great. The Cosmic Lulu, a favorite of mine.
It's a Project Aurelia, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
I did not get
it
a
might
good
be
look.
like Infiltrator. There's some other word that they use for that skin line sometimes, but it's the one with the sharp things that look techie but are like specifically not like steampunk.
I was gonna say the sharp things are just an Aurelia thing. That's not a skin point.
Wait a minute.
Second. Yeah, this is risky as all heck. I don't hate the idea, but I think this is just how bad the draft has kind of screwed over Syndicate. Corando is going to be taking the Seraphine into the top lane here. They're both running the TP. The Yorick is going to do decently into the Kassadin early on.
Mm-hmm.
The big weakness about this, so we talked about this a little bit off-cast there. Looking around at it, the Yorick is going to struggle a lot into the Aurelia. She can stack up her passive very quick by just queuing to all the ghouls and then hopping onto Yorick with a full stack passive. It's a really rough matchup. But if you put the Seraphine up top, one stun is all it's going to take for Aurelia to just blow up this Seraphine. So this is very risky to put Seraphine into this long lane. They're just hoping Corando can just play as safe as possible and scale up because he's supporty already.
Yeah, and I think that this swap is, as you've illustrated, but I want to further sort of emphasize an investment into Pure Salt's success. Because this is a matchup that we had discussed a little bit going into today, saying that the top lane is actually where we can look for a lot of the game to be determined, whether that's in the mid game making plays or whether it's in the laning phase itself. With something like Yorick, you're not going to be making as many plays in the mid game, and you do need that laning phase to be bolstered up. The Syndicate recognize that, and they move him into a place where he's going to have a better time.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be better for this Yorick. Like they are basically doing this because of Yorick's bad matchup. It just also happens to work out that Corando can be fine while sacrificing a lot of gold. It's just, yeah, you're going to see Teditor basically able to do whatever he wants in this lane, whether it's push it, freeze it, try and get Corando in a bad spot for the jungler. We'll have to see how it goes. Looking down at this bot side, though, you're already seeing OTGG take a lot of damage here. The early game from Rel, she has no real opportunity to deal with poke well. And that is going to be very, very rough for her. If you take too much poke, you're basically not going to be able to engage at all. And it is not a fun time to play Rel if that is the case.
And if we're talking about lanes that can do whatever they want, and your Rel can't engage, Vayne's also going to have a really good time. Mythic Esports now have 2 lanes, theoretically at least, that are basically unpunishable, and they're the 2 lanes with really high carry potential in the mid and late game.
Yeah, both the Aurelia and the mid game, you could see OTGG just taking so much damage. Lulu's early game damage is really underestimated by a lot of people. I'm actually surprised, though, as we do kind of see the mid lane there, even against the Seraphine, I was thinking this was going to be the Fleet Footwork Kassadin just to be able to have that extra survivability from all the poke that could hit. You know, just I feel like Kassadin, unless you're in a super like safe lane where you're not going to run the risk of taking any poke, getting the Fleet Footwork is always great for just being able to scale up safely and not worry about how much damage you're taking. It's going to be able to electrocute instead, going for a little bit more burst. Probably has the taste of blood to be able to stay a little bit more healthy, but it's not going to do anywhere near as much as the fleet footwork would.
Certainly not. It's going to be really rough into this Kassadin if he can't make the rune work for him, if he can't find, I want to say, even a solo kill right now, because Kassadin, at the same time as he is suffering ever so slightly, is going to survive just as well or better than he would into a Seraphine.
Yeah, and once that level 6 comes, there isn't a lot of opportunities as Submaster Kill is going to try and get Corando here. No mana. Yeah, he's not going to do much, but it is going to pressure. It's going to make Corando play safe. OTGG is getting low.
Speaking of pressure, Vayne and Lulu going pretty ham in this bot lane. We talked about 0TGG, who now finally had the opportunity to go in. Good heal comes out, and one mustache will go down. Kazwordy gives over one more stack of Dark Harvest, but really well executed gank and no respect for the jungler positioning on Mythic Esports.
Yeah, with Submaster Kill up on the top side, you, as the bot side, need to recognize that you are very clearly showing that you don't have backup there. And if you don't know where the enemy jungler is, you have to play around it like the jungler is bot side. Because if you don't respect that, and they do come in, that's what's going to happen. The lane was going great for Vayne and Lulu there. They were getting a lot of poke onto OTGG, but he finally got his opportunity to engage because he had the backup, and now this lane has just kind of flipped. The MF has the kill, the first dragon goes down, and the tempo is firmly in control for Syndicate.
See what they can do with that now, especially with something like an engaged support. Hasn't even had to burn flash yet. You really can blow a game open. Resets are available. Kazwordy, though, wants to fight a little bit. Maybe trying to keep the wave frozen, keep the backs from coming in. It seems really awkward. Good encore will land, but it doesn't matter at this point. Irelia, after that first back, is going to run your lane, Corando.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about there. The damage that Irelia can pull out in that like mid game when she's starting to get those items down and has levels in that queue, Seraphine is not going to survive, and that's why you don't take a champion like Seraphine top most of the time, because in a long lane, she will get chased down very hard by champions like Irelia and Graves.
Taking a chase down, it doesn't seem like the bot lane chase down did result in anything as we panned top for just a moment. Papoose, excuse me. Gonna take a fun little trade in the mid lane. There's not really a lot to do into the maiden, though. You don't want to fight this 1v1.5, so he's going to take CS where he can, survive in the mid lane, and this is something that Kassadin very comfortable doing. Same thing's happening bot lane, though.
Yeah, don't want to fight that just hellish monstrosity of a cat. Whatever. Is it? On that,
it's a panda now. Yeah,
it's a panda now. Okay, it's still just. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. Nothing should have that tall of legs and that large of arms.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's pretty disproportionate. The little pandas running around are so cute, though. I don't know. That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing about this Yorick skin. Arclight Yorick, also pretty cool. Very divine, but I really like the vibe that this cute little Yorick skin gives off. It feels good until he's on top of you with Trinity Force.
Yeah, now Papoose getting a little aggressive here, but that Q, or the ult, is very long cooldown relatively in the early game there. 6 seconds, I believe. So going forward with the ability to get that wall down is going to be very costly.
Sends the maiden forward as well to throw a little bit more chip damage in, and it's going to mean that Papoose can't really stay around. I say that, but as I say that, we're going to see a fight elsewhere. Savian will put 2 to sleep and escape with his life. Well played there. 0TGG, though, going aggressive in the bot lane as we got a 3v3 in the top mid jungle. Papapoose finds himself a double kill. Tetador looking for one more kill. Good encore, but an even better stun, and Correndo will go down. A 3-0 in the favor of Mythic Esports in the top lane, and they do the same in the bot lane. It is a cross-map ace at 10 minutes into the game.
And that's the team that scales so much better into the late game. Vayne now 3-0, the Kassadin 2-0, Irelia 2-0. This is a team that is going to just pop off super hard right now. Mythic has control of the game. A great stun from the Irelia there, getting the waiting out the encore to make sure that the stun actually mattered. Just stuck on the face of the Seraphine. If the stun came out first, the encore would have basically made the stun not worthwhile, and Seraphine could have backed out, but waited for the encore to actually hit, got the stun, followed it up. Papapoose getting basically donated 2 kills there is going to be so huge in getting this Kassadin off the ground. Has double buffs right now, is stacking that tier well, working on getting the working on getting the Everfrost completed, and once the Everfrost is down, Kassadin is basically a Shaco with a stun.
It's absolutely terrifying. Put out a lot of damage, and it's going to be coming up as the second dragon comes up. It's not the Everfrost spike just yet, but keep in mind that we have a 2-0 Aurelia with Blade of the Ruin King, a 2-0 Kassadin with plenty of damage, and a 3-0 Vayne. As just the second Drake spawns into these late game team compositions, you want to be taking dragons. Mythic Esports have the chance to shut that down before the Syndicate get it off the ground.
Yeah, and importantly, we're at level 9. This Kassadin is not down that much farm relatively, considering what the matchup is. And once that level 11 hits, Kassadin will be basically unlocked. And once 16 hits, Kassadin will become a god.
It certainly can, although if you pick off the jungler, there's no real chance of you getting a dragon. Sedmaster, not going to be put to sleep, gets himself away. Lilting Lullaby saved for another day. Tetador might need to be used on him. If he takes down Toxic Vayne first, though, it won't matter. Does get the auto before the Drowsy, and 0TGG is being focused down all alone in the middle of 4 members. Sedmaster kill, chased under the tower. You can't lose your jungler, but Pure Salt will get him, trading his own life away. It's double kill for Papapoose. He's looking for a third one, but with 4 members up from Mythic Esports, they certainly control the map right now, even if they can't turn onto the dragon without their jungler.
Yeah, they look like they kind of want to, but without the jungler, yeah. And Zaven being alive, that is very risky. They'll get a lot of plates there. Good encore coming through, but I don't think that's going to turn into much there. No follow-up. Sedmaster is alive. They want to at least get control of this area, but it's looking a little bit sus to get it in this deep.
Okay.
He brought the Ludens. Oh no.
Yeah, I don't think you get to win this fight anymore. 2 of your members are at half health. You're going to eat a bullet time right now. One wall, one mustache. Doesn't have the wild growth, but you pick off 0TGG essentially for free. You might be able to at least get the dragon. Sedmaster kill gets deleted, but Aurelia finishes off the dragon. Almost takes down Xavian in the process. Finally gets finished off. But what a big shutdown on Tetador, who put that dragon play on his back.
I'm hurting right now looking at this. So the Papapoose getting really deep in there, went to go try and blow people up. You're not at the level of Kassadin that you need to be to just blow somebody up like that. A lot of the damage had not been purchased at that point because of just getting those 2 kills. So did end up just kind of going down for no reason. That bought the opportunity for Syndicate to move into the Dragon Pit. Sedmaster kill, who is fairly behind all things considered, 0-2 and 6 at the moment, is the one player that has no kills that really could use them.
Yeah,
he just goes down for free and gives the dragon over.
Well, importantly, he doesn't give the dragon over. He should have given the dragon over. But ever so importantly, Mythic Esports do actually get it.
Yeah, they do get it, but it could have easily gone over there. It just really seemed like a risky call at that point to go for the dragon. I feel like you might just need to, in those cases, give it up and allow them to get those 2 dragons. Say, we've got the scaling, let's get the tower plates, let's get the advanced gold in our pockets, and we can pick up later dragons there, because they took so much damage getting that win before the dragon fight that the respawn timers meant they just gave up so much pressure and so much team fight availability over to Syndicate to just come back up and pick up more kills.
Yeah, it doesn't get Syndicate back into the game gold-wise, because we saw Mythic Esports first win a team fight. The gold actually ends up being rather even, with almost a 2 to 3k gold lead in the favor of Mythic Esports, and it is a gold lead that favors the scaling team. But the Syndicate, importantly, showing signs of life, and Mythic Esports, I think, very much demonstrating they're going to need a little bit more coordination right now, especially around said Master Kill, the person who is most important around objectives. As a jungler, you can kind of be gone for most of the game, especially on Graves, just farming your jungle. At objectives, you need to be prioritized.
Absolutely, and we've seen a couple of times now, said Master Kill has just kind of been caught out trying to get to objectives without his team. And that is very costly if you get into the late game and that happens there. Papapoose is level 11 now. I'm a little bit frustrated at the Luden's pickup. Might just not be comfortable with the Everfrost yet. I think it's just the better option, considering how, even before the buffs, Everfrost was being built on Kassadin because of how strong that stun can be. Papapoose wants to take this fight.
Not going to be having a very fun time. It's rare that you see a Kassadin forced to use their flash.
Yeah, did not want to get put to sleep there. Was very risky. This Yorick does put out a lot of damage, and Kassadin has nothing built to take that damage and mitigate it well.
Can't mitigate too much from an Aurelia, though, as Tetadur going to get right onto Pure Salt. And Papapoose, he's going to pick up kill participation, the actual kill, but that was all Aurelia, man. Tetadur, he has got a really, camper-sized backpack on this game.
Absolutely. Setting up this Kassadin a couple of times now for a couple of kills. Papapoose is going to be really, really hard to deal with now.
And that's to say nothing of Kaswardi.
Yeah. Kaswardi is still 4-0. The Moonstone is built on 1-1 Mustache, which is really all you super need on this Lulu. That really makes so many of these trades go better and better. In the early game, without the Moonstone, any kind of losing trades feel really bad with Lulu because all you've got is the shield. Now you can get that little extra in-fight generation or regeneration that will keep your trades working out better and better.
There's no way we actually go for a fight here. I feel like this is an overextension, but that's exactly what they want you to think. With Xavier showing up, they could shut down Kaswardi. There's teleport into this bot lane, though, even a double, as it is responded to by the Syndicate. Big Encore finds 2 members, and you could just shut down 2. One Mustache goes down, and Drowsy as Papapoose gets taken down, as Tetadur needs to yeet himself from that fight. Will do so with expert precision and grace. But that is a teleport that you no longer have 2, actually, as there is no more global presence for either of these teams. But Dragon has just spawned, and the Syndicate, they are up numbers.
Yeah, they went too deep on that, got baited in. Once again, not respecting that the jungler's nearby. And when the Dragon is up, you should be expecting the jungler to be near. Master Kill thinking about going for it. Does burn the ult, but does not get anything. This is just really, really lackadaisical play here by not respecting where the jungler is, getting baited into a fight there, and just costing your team so much.
Yeah, that was very awkward in the bot lane, and it will give over that second drag, and something that I didn't think we were going to see. Mythic Esports, with their scaling advantage, certainly seemed like after that first dragon that they did secure, the Infernal, we're going to be able to pilot that into a overall objective win, but misplays do happen, and it will put you at a disadvantage if you continue to make them. Could even end the game for you, so we'll have to watch for how Kaswardi and One Wall, One Mustache continue to evaluate the game state.
Yeah, importantly there, neither of them died, but Kaswardi honestly just it was the tumble forward that was just the go button there. So while he did not pay the price, he did cost his team a good bit there with that tumble forward. And now Toxic Vane gonna try and keep this tower alive. Should be fine. We're starting to see a little bit of life here from Syndicate. They're very much hitting that mid game spike, but Tetsudur is very hard to deal with right now.
It certainly is. I want to know who they actually send to side lane against him if Tetsudur forces the issue in the side lane. We've seen him collapsing a lot, involving himself in team fights, allowing himself to be drawn in by Kazwordy and One Wall One Mustache, even getting kills for Papa Poos. But if you just leave the Aurelia in the side lane, what can the Syndicate actually do?
Yeah, you don't want to really send the Yorick there yet. I think in the late game, Yorick will actually be able to handle this Irelia. It is the early game where she can abuse her passive stacking very quick. That will make it hard, but Yorick will scale up super well. He'll get too tanky for Irelia to really blow up. Interestingly, yeah, the Immortal Shield Bow there, not what I expected, but will be picked up. Lots of healing there. If a Bramble Vest comes through, it is very possible for Pure Salt to actually, in the late game with Maiden of the Mist, take this Irelia on. But we'll see how that shakes out.
We certainly will. I mean, I don't expect this game to be ending before we see Pure Salt become a pretty powerful force right now, already sitting on that one item, but Mythic Esports certainly are not the composition that you look to if you want to finish a game very quickly. They have plenty of time to scale up themselves, so we will get to see not only the monster Yorick, but I suspect the monster Kassadin, the monster Aurelia, and the monster Vayne all at once.
Yeah, and like you said, there are two champions there, 2 or 3 champions on Mythic's side that are going to be monsters late game. Yorick is great late game. Lilia's pretty solid. Seraphine does pretty darn well, but they are not the holy grail of late game champions like this Vayne or Kassadin. And Karando now, once again.
Imagine being instantly forced to flash encoring the wrong way and then getting taken down right outside your base.
While the enemy laner just casually walks by the tower. Oh, this is just so rough here. They recognize they can't send the Yorick there, but they also can't send Seraphine at all over there at this point. And
yeah, you see what I'm saying, right? Like, what happens here?
Yeah, no, there isn't really a good option here. They need to force engages on the other sides of the map. You don't want to be having Seraphine be alone at this point of the game. She really shouldn't ever be alone once you're at this point in the game. It is just so much possibility lost. I think, honestly, at this point, you need to have the Yorick in the side lane. Even though it's not great, it's not ideal, you're not getting anything done with Yorick against this Kassadin anymore. He's too mobile. And Seraphine is just going to die every single time you put her over there.
Yeah, good reset from the Syndicate, though, because as much as they can't play the side lane, they can still play the team fights. And they're ready just in time for this Dragon. 30 seconds on it. We could see the game explode right here. If the Syndicate win a team fight, they can convert this into the Baron now. And Mythic Esports on the other side of that, if they win this team fight, it is all but over with the scaling they have.
Yeah, both Karando and Pure Salt have the TPs. It looks like they're actually just going to give this dragon over. They don't feel comfortable walking through their jungle because they do not know where the Kassadin is, where the Irelia is.
To trade it?
They did. They should have been seen taking the ward because there was a mythic ward on it, but they're not responding to it. They may just trade this.
Yeah, Mythic Esports just do not think this is happening. Maybe they don't know. They do get the dragon, and
they're
now
about to
you see the single question mark ping on the Baron, but it is much too late. The Syndicate get away with highway robbery there.
Yeah, that is just unfortunate there. They over-prioritized this dragon, did not respect the damage that could come through, and will give away a Baron. They're going to get a tower in response, but I still think this is very favorable for Syndicate.
Depends what Yorick can do with it, because everybody else realistically isn't going to do anything. You need to have Pure Salt making moves right now.
Absolutely, but this also means that there is a little more opportunity for the split push to be stopped for the Irelia because the extra minion power. It'll make it so much harder if you have. I still don't like that they're sending Corando over there. I almost feel like you just have to send multiple people down to handle the Irelia and just let Yorick split push if you want to do that. It is very risky to send Corando over there, but you need somebody to bring that Baron buff over to Irelia to make it harder for her to push it out.
Yeah, check out this bot lane jungle for both teams right now. There are wards lighting it up like a Christmas tree, literally lighting up like a Christmas tree with different colors that we have around here. But finally clearing some of that out is Xavier, and so much safety is being afforded to both Corando and Tetadur by these wards.
Yeah, Mythic has a lot of vision control here that needs to be cleared out, which, to their credit, Syndicate are doing fairly well here. I don't get why Pure Salt is taking Gromp right now. That feels just so lackadaisical with what you can do with this champion with Baron buff. This is like prime time for this Yorick here. He's hitting the late game. He's close to 16. You have Baron buff. Don't be sitting in your own jungle. You need to be able to push and get objectives. That top tower is ripe for the taking, but Tetadur is still getting things done, still getting a lot of farm. 272 farm at 26 minutes is ridiculous.
I mean, if the game goes on like this, we might even see a Flame Horizon for Tetadur, who really only needs, what is this, 25, make it 35 CS, 40 CS to complete it, which is certainly something that he can do, being stuck in the side lane so much, and with Pure Salt not really feeling like he can walk up. I mean, look at the vision that was in the river not even a second ago. It was controlled entirely by Mythic Esports. He's blind up there, and now they're blind in the jungle as well. Tetadur teaming up will be able to clear out all of that.
Yeah, but this Baron is going to run out fairly soon here. It's going to run out in the next 5 seconds or so. So not getting much done with that. That feels so unfortunate there. Tetadur might be caught out a little bit here.
Oh, he's definitely caught out. That is a very sleepy and also, incidentally, very dead Aurelia. Does take one with her, though, and is turning the team fight around. This is so crazy as even the Wild Growth gets invested. It will be a double kill for Toxic Vayne at long last, I might add.
Yeah, and you can see how much healing this Aurelia is able to do with the shield bow, with the Blade of the Ruined King. Death Stance also giving a lot of survivability there. Now, it is just so hard to kill her, even with all the people there, unless you're layering CC so that she cannot heal herself. I want to see more healing reduction come through. There is none currently being built outside of the Seraphine and the Rel, and that's not really going to be enough here. You got the Putrefier being built, so it'll be passed on to other people, and Seraphine will shield lots of people, so that will be very effective. But I really would love to see this Bramble Vest on the Yorick, allow him to go toe-to-toe at this point with the Aurelia, and neutralize this one really strong advantage that Mythic have been able to procure for themselves.
Yeah, seems like he's working on the dead man's plate right now, as he really hasn't been side laning against her, right? And that's been a problem that we have been harping on all game, is that this Yorick and Aurelia matchup should be going exactly that way. It should be these two champions together. But still waiting on a little bit of farm. Maybe once we see that Bramble Vest completed, we will see the pivot from Pure Salt, who has finally finished the Titanic and has plenty of ways to go. He's going to get a taste of that matchup right now, though, as he's got the back of his team, so Tetadur should play this safe.
Yeah, and you can see how well Yorick can actually handle it at this point. He's not as weak as he was earlier.
Certainly not. Aurelia's just got a free flank, though, and that's pretty problematic. Somebody's got to engage on that, but very, very slippery is this Aurelia. The lack of being able to sandwich that is going to mean Soul Point goes over to Mythic Esports with essentially no contest.
Yeah, there's no consistent engage on these mobile targets here. There's no point and click CC. It is all slow and aimable. So Aurelia and Kassadin are not going to really be able to get hit by that very reliably, which meant that even though there was such a split there, that Syndicate could take advantage of. Mythic knew that they were not going to be able to hit that consistently and just took the risk and got the dragon.
Yeah, looked, well, very controlled from Mythic Esports at this point in the game. They're playing around what the Syndicate want to do, although they do get engaged on, and one mustache should go down here. A lot of slows and a lot of survivability are coming from this Lulu, though. Well, in the backline, Tetador is going ham, goes drowsy, though, and now with 4 people focusing, can he survive? Going toe-to-toe with OTGG is throwing down the autos, will finally be taken down. Xavian's dancing around the battlefield. Zedmaster Kill cannot do anything, and the Syndicate seem to have found a team fight when it was completely against the odds that they would. Zedmaster Kill gonna get tagged here, but can't actually outrun these 2 members, let alone the 4 that are on him. Papa Boost, though, providing him crucial safety, will save his jungler's life, if not the team fight.
Yeah, and it looked like it was going to go really well there, but the immediate sleep coming through meant that Kaswerty was going to fall, and Tetador got the ignite on him, so that healing was nowhere near as effective. Good call from OTGG to make sure that the Irelia was not going to heal up, and the turnaround there was so big for Syndicate. Good call on that. Papa Boost going in.
Papa Boost likely going down too. Zanya's is there, but doesn't actually get him out. 50-50 on the Baron, though. Zedmaster Kill goes in, does not find it. It was so ridiculously close. Fortunately, Syndicate do manage to secure that just barely, and now find themselves in an even gold game for the first time in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it is the macro calls here that is working out so well for Syndicate. They're splitting people up. They're catching out the people that they can kill and blow up quickly. And now we have to see what the answer is going to be. Tetador is very strong, but he's not strong enough to handle the CC layering if it gets onto him.
Not really. I am very, very concerned, actually, about how this is going to continue if we don't see a game plan evolve from Mythic Esports. They do have a really big multi-threat composition, but none of those threats actually seem to be coming to fruition, instead being shut down literally one by one.
Yeah, we need to see some better team fight positioning going forward here. Papa Boost needs to get that level 16 ASAP. Get some of this jungle farm if you need to. It is such a crucial thing there. Getting the Rift Walk from 3 seconds to 1.5 is so big, as well as adding in that extra damage per stack. It is. I really, really want to see how much that this Kassadin could do once he hits that God mode level. But Yorick is gonna be an issue here.
He really is, and this time he's going to be able to use that Baron, unlike what we saw before. Toxic Bane tries to do it himself. Big Charm comes out, doesn't find a kill just yet. One mustache gets deleted. Kaswerty needs to clutch it, but he cannot. The Blooming Blows from the Lilia will take him down. We'll see if Tetador wins this 1v1. Looks like he certainly still does. Pure Salt's not having a good time, as you still can't address the Irelia in the side lane, but who the hell cares?
Yeah, if your team can just 4v4 rather, just go for the engage. It was on the people who could not dodge it easily, and the great jump forward from OTGG combined with the encore is going to allow for Syndicate to try and close this game out. Tetador, yeah, now is the time where it is very scary.
Can they clutch this out? Ignite is down. Papa Boost goes golden, and Tetador needs to flash out. Xavian is hunting him down, but the Kassadin will end up falling. Toxic Bane goes on a killing spree. Tetador can't actually get into the fight. Tries to take down Rel, but the stun is there, and the Nexus is being autoed down. The Syndicate take game 1, and they do it by executing to a T.
Absolutely. That was so well played there from Syndicate. The shot calling coming through. Finally getting the Yorick against the Irelia. Did lose the matchup, but kept Irelia busy. Did not let her get the split push off while the rest of the team was able to engage. Papa Boost was not there for that team fight. Zedmaster Kill got caught out once again. The Vayne not able to walk forward comfortably without getting blown up. And just great shot calling in the late game, despite having the weaker late game when you look at the composition from Syndicate.
Yeah, and I think that so much of that was Mythic Esports really tunneling on getting to this objective of the late game that never really came online for them because of their constant focus. You talked about how Papa Boost wasn't there. It doesn't matter if your Kassadin has 3 items or 2 items or whatnot. If you're fighting a 3v4, you lose it every single time. And then, 2v4, certainly not going any better, even with the 2 hyperscalers, even with Tetadur, who I want to credit smashed this game open.
Yeah, absolutely there. And it was looking really rough there, especially because the Irelia was just able to run people down so easily, but just constant great engages there from Syndicate to push the issue and force them into situations that were just very beneficial for them.
Yeah, they did it really well. We'll see if the Syndicate can continue to execute on that level, because what we thought was going to be a close matchup going into today looked like it was not nearly as close in their executions on the Rift. Mythic Esports feeling a little bit lost in that mid game, even when they were winning. We'll see if they can pull it back to themselves as we get into that second game, because they've got to win this one or they will lose the series 2-0. Me and Thousand Eyes will be right back in just a minute with that game 2. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with Mythic Esports once again versus the Syndicate, and we're in the draft. 1,000 Dice. Game one was a banger in the draft, but very, very different in game. So I hold my breath for what happens here, but I have no expectations for how it will impact.
Yeah, it was a weird game because it went kind of counter to what the actual game really felt like it should have been. The late game should have been more favored for Mythic. They had the Cassidon in the vein, but it was the Irelia that popped off because of the lane swap. And that mid game was super strong, but the late game shot calling from Syndicate really turned things around, allowed them to get favorable team fights, and pulled them ahead here as we're seeing very similar bans coming through this time around.
Yeah, and it's what we expect, right? Mythic Esports, of course, are going to take away the Syndicate's strong champions. We talked about the strong macro of this team last game. Imagine if they got a Galio. I mean, it just gets worse and worse, and you don't want to give Papa Boost the ability to roam around the map, make stuff happen on his own. Big change, though, will be that Seraphine is taken off the board this time by the Syndicate.
Yeah, Syndicate on red side this time around, so they're gonna respect that Seraphine, put in the ban, and now we'll see what Mythic do favor in this matchup here. It was the Lux that was banned away last time, so maybe that is first pick worthy. Maybe Mythic want to pick that up, or they're gonna go even harder on that early game and go for the Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon, up until very recently, was highly, highly prioritized. And I gotta be honest with you, 1,000 Dice, I'm not really sure what pushed him out of high pick priority.
I believe some of the nerfs he got hit by did pull him away. It kind of... He got pushed into the mid lane, so he was originally like super strong support. Once that started falling off from nerfs, they got him pushed into the mid lane. I think a lot of it too has been that some of the item changes around the game have pushed for a little bit more later game scaling, so the Pantheon does not do as well just inherently because of those changes.
Whoa.
Okay. This is aggro as heck. Mythic.
Yeah.
Really going hard for the early game here and just gonna jump on people nonstop.
Okay, seems like the Fizz is a Tristana right now, is what we're opting with.
Oh,
which
okay.
Is still very aggro. Not as aggro as the Fizz.
Yeah, I'm expecting this Pantheon to be a mid laner here. I think what they're doing is they're picking this to basically force away any kind of safe mid laner that Corando wants to go for. Just get really aggro. Don't let Corando play safe and scale up into that late game where we've seen his team make really good calls. The Rel and the Misfortune, though, being picked up once again. But this time it is the Hecarim that is going to come through. I really like this. Syndicate really pushing once again for a mid-game spike that is going to just completely control objectives with all those AoE ultimates.
Yeah, this is, I want to say, a really good investment from them, given how last game played out, how the team fights were so important for them. They doubled down on that win con this time, going, okay, well, I feel like Mythic Esports are not going to be able to answer us if we just have a really strong team fight, one that they can't contest in the mid game, where we can pull the trigger very quickly, using things like Rel, using things like Hecarim, and it's a bet that Mythic Esports are going to have to find some way of counteracting if they want to avoid this game looking exactly like the last one.
Absolutely, too. I also really like this because you're seeing the Hecarim come through. That is something that can be a main engage there. It will push people in, and it gives Rel an easy opportunity to follow up. And I think that's where Rel really shines. She's not a main engage. She is a follow-up engage because of how slow her W can come across. The second wave of bans coming through, the Yorick being taken away, the Victor being taken away, once again taking away these scaling opportunities for Syndicate. The Jackson Volibear now putting Tetsudur in a little bit of a bind because now you are going to be seeing, you know, those neutralizing lanes, those kind of like want to scale up and just be fairly strong in a 1v1 situation late game champions, these are being taken away from Tetsuder, and he might have to go on something a little more aggressive.
Let's see what it is. I'm holding my breath here as we get through this. And I mentioned, of course, that, we are sort of hesitant about how much it'll impact the actual in-game state, what we see in the draft at the very least, but I'm feeling very hopeful for the Syndicate right now. Mythic Esports, they got a lot of that early aggression. With the Lilia, I feel like they've taken a slight pivot away from it, and I want to see them double down really early on to try and take out the Syndicate early. Lux, not really doing it for me, but granted, it was banned away last game. This could just be something that execution-wise is strong.
Yeah, and this does mean we're still waiting on where everything is going to line up here. The Lux is going to be possibly in the mid lane, possibly in the support role. Have not seen a lot of support Lux in the recent year or in the recent patches. Maokai got to be taken up, so that will be the support. Lux is going to go in the mid lane. Pantheon is going to go in the top lane. Okay, this could be flipped around. There's really no way to know.
Yeah. The one thing we do know is that Lux isn't going top, so that's good.
Yeah, that is true. I do know that Tristana will be going in the bottom lane, and Lily will be the jungle.
Yeah, and realistically, I think this is exactly the way they intended it, right? Syndicate get the last pick, and now Mythic Esports get to decide, do we want the Maokai matchup, or do we put Pantheon up against Kennen to try and take him down?
Yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities here for Mythic to kind of take on what they want. I like the Pantheon in the mid lane more. As a champion, I think he works better in the mid lane because of his ultimate. He can kind of just go to other lanes very easily, whereas when he's in the top lane, he can only go one way. He can only go down the map. So I kind of would like to see the Pantheon go mid, the Lux go in the bot lane, and the Maokai go in the top. That is rough for the Kennen matchup. Whoever they put up there is going to probably struggle a little bit unless the Pantheon just goes super aggro. Syndicate's composition, though, very strong in terms of like engage and burst and AoE, lacking in terms of tankiness. So if that initial burst does not kill, if they don't win that fight immediately, they are going to falter from the DPS coming through on the Tristana and the Maokai being able to frontline a bit.
Yeah, especially in those later stages of the game, when Tristana gets several items under her belt, suddenly Hecarim isn't going to be as tanky to an AD carry as we often see in the mid game, him sort of being able to run over people. Once Tristana gets those several items, she just sort of mows through anything in her path, and it's going to be very, very difficult. On the other side of that, though, Syndicate do have a Corki that is really going to pump out a lot of late game damage, and it's that sort of insurance that we thought Cassidy was going to be last game for Mythic Esports, now given over to the Syndicate in the form of a Yordle in a play.
Yeah, and he is going to be able to put out a lot of damage, a lot of poke. It's going to be a lot of spells hitting, though, and that is favorable for Maokai, so he's able to get his passive stacked up pretty quickly and be that frontliner as of right now. This can change, but Tetsuder is holding on to the Maokai, and that is going to be very, very crucial because if he can create enough space and this Lilia can get like around on flanks, that will create opportunities for those sleeps that will really push Syndicate on the back foot.
Now, we talk about the team fight of Mythic Esports. It is really strong. Syndicate have a great one as well. But Syndicate have something that I don't really see Mythic Esports having, and that is side lane.
Yes. Yeah, it is going to be a little bit tough here. It is gonna, as of right now, gonna be a support Pantheon, which I don't know if I care for that at this point. I don't think it is anywhere near as strong as it used to be. But it is going to be, like, if that holds, that is a very, very strong level 2 that bot lane will have. Tristana will run the Hail of Blades, Pantheon will run the press the attack, hop onto somebody with the shield, get the first 3 attacks, open them up to take more damage, and the immediate jump bomb throw from Tristana is going to blow somebody up. So if Toxic Vein and OTGG don't respect that, that can be a huge win condition there.
And that was something that we did get a little bit of a taste of last game, was that ability to blow people up in the bot lane, but it was the Syndicate doing it more often than not. Remember Zero TGG being able to turn around so many of these weird bot lane skirmishes with patience on the dismount. I haven't seen a Rel Pantheon matchup just yet, as you mentioned. Of course, Pantheon falling out of meta relatively recently is going to mean that we don't have as much experience with how this particular melee into melee is going to play out. But Rel, one of the strongest supports in the game right now, is not prioritized for no reason.
Absolutely. She has received a little bit of nerfs this patch. Her W is a longer cooldown, both sides. So it is going to be a little bit longer of a time where she is stuck in one form or the other. I think the big lanes to watch here, all of these solo lanes can go very haywire very quickly. Lots of burst. The one that should be I'm fairly confident is going to win is Pure Salt versus Tetsuder. The rest are going to rely on picks and getting positioning in lane to catch people out and basically just blow them up super fast.
Let's see what happens as we get into the game, though, because time is ticking down, and just like last game, I expect this one to be a very, very execution heavy. Once we get onto the Rift itself, there's no real way to say, based on not only what happened last game, but the drafts here, what is going to happen on the Rift. So we got to get ourselves there, Thousand Eyes. Let's send it to a very quick break before we pop into Game 2 of Mythic Esports versus the Syndicate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Mythic Esports versus the Syndicate. The Syndicate up 1-0 and have the potential to close out this series right before it's really gotten into the swing of it. Mythic Esports, though, looking to take us to that 1-1 mark, have drafted themselves some pretty early aggression.
Yeah, and there's some good adaptation here, as Zaven's going to take a little bit of damage here from Submaster Kill. There's some good adaptation here from Syndicate and some lack of adaptation here from Mythic here. The cleanse and exhaust on Toxic Vein and OTGG together, as there is some fun happening here.
I hated all of that.
Yeah. So the cleanse and the exhaust being taken here, getting out of that stun is going to be so crucial for this misfortune. So I love that. The exhaust is going to negate that early game that Tristana and Pantheon have and let them scale up. There is 2 press the attacks on Mythic's bottom lane here, and those don't stack. That is, and also Tristana generally, to take advantage of her huge bomb damage in the early game, likes to go Hail of Blades so that she can be aggressive. This is a perfect opportunity to go Hail of Blades. That's what you should be going here. And that lack of Hail of Blades is just really going to hurt their ability to try and get this kill in the bot lane alongside the adaptations that Syndicate have made.
Yeah, you know, it might be a little bit of unfamiliarity with how this Pantheon Tristana plays out in general right now. We do know that they're strong champions, that they can play together early, but not having the understanding of the runes, right? Maybe points to this more as a compositional pickup, as a theoretical pressure point that Mythic Esports wanted, rather than a comfort pick. And that's a differentiation that, especially at these levels of play, becomes more and more important.
Absolutely here. And speaking of comfort here, Papapu's on the Lux here, was banned away game 1, has the opportunity to get it now in game 2. So we'll see if Papapu's can actually make something happen with this. Should have the early game advantage, as Corki is going to take a little bit to get online. You can see the cull being taken here, obviously just wants to scale, but Papapu's can farm and harass at the same time.
Very much so. Although with Corki having quite a bit of sustain, I'm actually really curious. You know, cull, double pots, cookies. This guy might actually just be able to hang out until Lux does crack that first item or so, much like the Aurelia matchup we saw last game, where once the Vamp Scepter was completed, that was it. I feel like that's more of a lost chapter thing for Papapoose. Once he gets that, then it'll really start to come online. Early game Corando with Fleet Footwork has a lot of sustain, and that's not even with the items in his inventory, although we might see a little fight in the jungle here. Xavian thinking kill Sedmaster at this point and flash out of that Lily. A great double root from Papapoose, and One Wallman Mustache has roamed up. Good flash from Corando to try and stay alive. Flash forward from One Wallman Mustache is going to find that stun, and that's going to be Corando going down for first blood, given over to the support Pantheon at a 3-minute roam.
Yeah, that's a good roam there from One Wallman Mustache. Recognizing the opportunity there as Sebester Kill's starting to get caught out, but Xavian going really deep on that, and the bind from Papapoose set everything up perfectly there. So showing that comfort on the Lux pick here, picking up the assist, and now double long swords already on this Pantheon means that damage is going to come through even if that cleanse does too.
Yeah, it is real painful stuff. And you lose a kill very early on to a composition that we did mention needs to get things going. I'm not sure. I guess they know that said Master Kill doesn't have the smite. I wonder who got that crab there.
That was the misfortune.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know if they knew the smite was down or not, or if they were just looking to force it, but that does work out well for the misfortune here. Submaster Kill is struggling a little bit here, but that extra help he has gotten takes it from being just a little bit rough early to away from, rather, the disastrous start that could have been.
Yeah, ooh, up here in the top lane, though, I'm getting a lot of people going at it. Tetador on the Maokai, feeling aggressive. Fiercelt, who was zoned off the wave completely, is down a level, is going to be forced to flash in a mashup you should win every day of the week. And he might even go down here, flash forward. Oh, Tetador gets stunned. And just barely, this Kennen is going to survive.
Oh my goodness, Tetsudur looking solid on this Maokai here. Gets a lot of damage down, gets the flash engage. Now bot lane.
T.GG, he goes in for another one of these stuns, another one of these engages, and he can't even be DPS down in time. Toxic Vein finds not only that Scuttlecrab from earlier, but now a kill.
Tetsudur, though, is getting really low in this top lane. Minions are helping Pure Salt. Oh, yeah, that's just greedy there. Tetsudur doing so great there, but got a little too full of himself, and now Pure Salt has everything back in control.
We're very close to that horrific cross-map play that we did see earlier in Game 1. The cross-map absolute demolishing of the Syndicate, but this time very much turned around as it is Mythic Esports who are overextending ever so slightly. And that's another thing with early power, is the desire to actually make it happen can cost you.
Yeah, sometimes you overestimate what your ability to do something in this game can be, and that will throw away some leads here. Tetsudur has used that TP to get back onto the top lane. Pure Salt will also use that to match. So these top laners going to be out of any kind of team fights for a good bit. And Pure Salt is all for that, as Kazwordy and 111 Mustache get a plate and will be scaling up fairly decently. It's important to note that the press the attack is going to scale better for this Tristana in the late game. I still don't think it was the right call, but it will scale better, and this Tristana in the late game is still going to be very hard to deal with.
Tetsudur oversteps a little bit and is going to be stunned up with this Hecarim and Cannon. Nice root back. Isn't going to save his life, though, as Nature's Grasp, not quite the ability that he wishes it was. Is walking away down the river and has the backup of Lux, actually. Papapoose is around. Sapling going to actually make this Maokai get out alive. That's crazy.
Yeah, not just the sapling, but the bramble smash coming through was a huge slow just as Pure Salt hit that lightning rush trying to get the move speed to catch up. I think it seemed like Xavian thought that Pure Salt had the kill and backed off. That does mean Tetsudur gets away, uses the Scuttle Crab for a ride, and gets the extra shield. Meanwhile, Sebmaster Kill, seeing the top lane going that way, sees that Xavian is up there, decides to go in, take that blue buff, get a little bit more of an advantage here. You can see the farm starting to go the way of Lilia.
And that's what Lilia specializes in, right? Is this sort of closing out in the farm, is being able to take you down slowly, incrementally. Such a good farmer is going to be able to close you out of a game if you're not making ganks happen as Xavian, and if you are trying to make ganks happen and not finding anything for it, even worse.
Yeah, she's kind of like an AP Graves, where she could just farm super, super well and then show up to team fights with a bunch of damage, except she does have a little bit more consistent crowd control here. So Master Kill might die to Gromp.
A moment of silence. I think it's actually the moment of silence might be our trademark hero.
Yeah, that may be what we go with here. Papapoose, though.
Going to get, fight after fight here, as Papapoose could go down. Will manage to get enough minion block from the Raptors to save his life. It looks like Rocket not going to connect over the wall, and Dragon does go down to the Syndicate. Not what I expected early on, but we'll take the advantage.
Yeah, as now, because Wordy might be staying a little bit too late here. They did not know that Sebmaster Kill died to the Gromp there, so that was a little bit risky.
Oh, this is risky too, though, with Kazwordy already jumping. Will manage to have to use the Buster Shot, actually, to save his life. Double Sleep is huge. Very nice counter engage from Hecarim, though. Could take down said Master Kill, and the bullet time is almost going to do it. Can't actually find the lethal damage. 0TGG barely alive. Toxic Bane really, really wants a kill right now, and everybody is so low. But no mana on this Misfortune is going to make things a little bit more difficult. Said Master Kill looking for the Swirl Seed, is not going to find any slows, and it will be just that single kill given over. Xavian going down.
Yeah, and it was really well played by Xavian, though. Getting the Onslaught of Shadows, popping it as the sleep was going, so you kind of cancel out the sleep portion of the ultimate there, did make it so that nobody could really activate the sleep damage. But unfortunately, the damage still came through. Kazworthy able to pick up a kill, start getting off the ground as this Tristana, and that will do wonders for this late game scaling that Mythic have set up for themselves.
Yeah, and the late game scaling is going to be really good, especially in that bot lane, right? Across the rest of the map, it's going to be a lot about supporting this Tristana. Babapu is going to do sort of his own thing. He can go in a lot of different directions, although I'm going to have to hold that point. 0-2GG looks for the invade, doesn't find the red buff, has backup here. One more missile would get him. But Zedmaster Kill going to get away in his own jungle, manages to survive.
Yeah, the slipperiness of the Lilia, and that's going to turn into more possibly here.
0-2GG gets out, but oh my lord, that is such a dead Yordle, as it's going to follow up with a double kill for this support on a killing spree. Is one wall, one mustache.
I know that you're like a very hard snowballing support on the Pantheon, but you want to give those to the Lux and the Tristana, let them get their items that they need. You have the serrated Dirk already. You're gonna be doing some damage right now. That is your job. That easily could have been given away, and I'm frustrated that One Mustache took that.
Yeah, a little bit awkward, but hey, you know what? He's taxing them for trying to carry this game right now. Is the way that I see it. And Kazworthy's getting plenty of income off these turret plates right now. As much as it might not be the optimal thing, the fact is that whether Tristana is getting kills or not right now, we find ourselves at a 3k gold lead, and no small part of that is on Tristana.
Absolutely, yeah. The turret plates alongside the farm advantage there. Toxic Vein and OTGG kind of getting beat up on here, as their early game is nowhere near as strong as this Pantheon can bring. Is level 6 now, so can roam around the map. I'd love to see something like a mid lane roam here if a bind is able to hit. That could be really huge on opening up Papa Poos and getting him able to start getting some kills and snowballing himself. Now we're seeing the Rift Herald started. Semester Kill is able to do this pretty safely because Pure Salt is back in base.
Could be the first objective we see for Mythic Esports as well, as they did lose the first dragon, with the next one coming up in 1 minute. Seems like nobody's actually choosing to contest said Master Kill. Xavian, though, is hanging out around his top side, maybe thinking about it. There's no camps here, so he must know that the Rift Herald at least has a possibility of being started.
Yeah, will be backed off here, but Maokai has the roam advantage here.
Xavian's just put himself in a position where he has to use his ultimate. He just walked in, uses the ultimate, walks out.
That's such an awful feeling, too, because your Hecarim is so instrumental in your ability to make ganks happen. You can make them work if somebody's overextended pretty easily, but without the ultimate, it is basically you hoping they do that. Now, Xavier will get some of this farm mid, but is Hecarim not having the impact that you'd really like to see from an early game jungler like Xavier is running?
Yeah, Hecarim relatively early game skewed, especially when compared with some of the other junglers that are more meta nowadays. But with the Hecarim, we'll have a little bit of that late game insurance as well, which is what excites me about the composition from the Syndicate. It's not just that they have to play for early game, as it seems like Mythic Esports have put themselves in with something like the Pantheon. We'll see if they can make that early game work for them, though, as Sleep not really hitting too many folks right now, so won't be invested in the Lullaby, will said Master Kill. Big engage from Corando, though, might just blow up this Lily before it's too late. Xavian takes down Papa Boost, and Corando taking down said Master Kill. It's a huge flank from Pure Salt. Will lock up 3 members of Mythic Esports, about to make it a 4th one, as Death is the best CC, and Tatador will fall. The Syndicate wipe the board with Mythic.
And this is how powerful this composition that Syndicate have put together can be. There's so much AoE damage coming through. You have the Magnet Storm from OTGG. You have the bullet time that wasn't even used. The package came across, and not only was the Magnet Storm pulling in the characters that were hit by Corando into that burning damage, but Pure Salt was behind getting the damage down, and Kazworthy and One Mustache jumped into the package damage. So Corando got so much damage down in that fight, and You can't contest in this 5v5 right now. It is just a huge power spike for all of these champions right now. You need to just back off, get a little bit more on the skirmish side of things, and force the objectives on those fronts.
And a lot, I want to say, I was going to say a little bit of misexecution, but realistically, a lot of misexecution is going to cost Mythic Esports big gold now, even off of that advantage that they had. Although, it's a teleport in the mid lane, and we could see that extend. Corando looking for a kill. Lilia is so ridiculously fast, though, and she will get away. Corando actually in danger of dying. One mustache flashes for it, gets the ignite down, and should get the kill here as 400 gold goes into the pocket of that support once again, but Xavian is left all alone in the front lines, gets killed himself.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. The skirmish fights are where this composition shines. You got the engage there, but it was only onto a couple people. The AoE ultimate's not pulling as much weight as it does when it hits 5 people. So then you have the binding, which can only hit 2 people, but it's hitting those 2 people in the fight, creating so much space there, which allowed for one mustache to jump into that back line. They kited out this Hecarim, got the sleep down, and now they're going to look for a dive in this top side.
Oh no, ultimate gets invested. Tetrador should go down here, but can you find the kill onto the cannon? You will. Caswordy gets away, hops out, and 0TGG is left up here with really nobody else. Xavian just now thinking about joining him. I'm not sure if they can even hold this tower against the powerhouse that is Tristana and one wall, one mustache,
He's
though.
Health, though, and there is the opportunity for OTGG to just run down the Tristana. So they don't want to risk that.
Fair enough.
I think that is the right call, just to back off at that point. Do not underestimate the ability for Rel to just run at you and throw you over the shoulder. It is kind of terrifying. And that trade, great for Mythic, because they get the gold into the Tristana pocket. Yes, Kennen gets a kill, and the Maokai dies, but the Maokai is fine. The Maokai does not need as much gold to make his build work as this Tristana.
Yeah, and that's the part of the Maokai that is often underestimated, or I want to say tanks in general, is that they're not strong just because their items are strong. It's a lot like supports in a way where, you know, when a support finally gets to go mid lane, it's not that the support item is busted, it's that they get access to it so much earlier, and in this case, the items being available ever so slightly earlier, like the Turbo Chem Tank right now, is giving Maokai this threshold where he's suddenly relevant at a point where the counter to him needs so much more.
His break point comes faster.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, he can get beaten down, and he's not like, oh, well, I have no gold, I can't do my job. He's still capable of doing what he needs to, despite the fact that he's getting beaten down.
He's doing a little bit of a beatdown on Pure Salt as well. He's actually been having a really good time in this lane, as Pure Salt's running a little bit of a garage sale in his inventory. Tetrador goes aggressive again, has Sedmaster kill in his back pocket. No dot will connect, and Tetrador gets stunned under tower one more time, but that is the power of the Maokai, is to do that and live to tell of it.
Yeah, and it is a lot of abilities that are hitting this Maokai as well, which is just going to increase his capability of healing in this lane. He will get this top lane now. That is 3 towers for Mythic, where no towers have been taken yet for Syndicate. So they are just still trying to scale up. They're giving things away. They're trying to just not give too much away. But this dragon looking like it's going to be a spicy fight here, because this one would give Soul Point to Syndicate.
Package is up again, by the way, so let's see if Corando can just absolutely decimate this fight one more time. Right now, members are split.
And I think, once again, you got to give this. If you're Mythic, you can't fight this with a package up. All the ultimates available here, other than the Kennen ult.
Okay,
good poke damage.
Yeah, good chunk. 0TGG goes in package, splits the team one more time, and Tetrador and Papa Boost can't actually join, which leaves the Syndicate free to take down people like Caswordy, Sedmaster kill, and one wall and mustache. Of course, now Tetrador trying to involve himself, might get a return kill, but then again, you just may not be so lucky. Not a single member touched in that re-engage as Tetrador struggled to find a kill. Corando, the only one that went down that day, and the Syndicate turn on to their third dragon of the game. They put themselves on Soul Point here.
Yeah, and it was going to happen either way. We kind of talked about how strong they are when everybody is grouped up. Alti almost getting the steal there, but Sabian being ready with the smite. These are the things that I always kind of see teams lacking. They lack the ability to say, we need to give this thing up. They don't want to give anything away. They're saying, like, we're strong, we're winning fights, but they're not recognizing that we're winning fights because we're taking 2v2s and 3v3s. If we actually go for these objective fights where everybody is grouped up, these ultimates are getting so much value from the enemy team, and we're losing them.
Yeah, and that's something that is a difficult thing to piece together mid-game, and Mythic Esports are going to need to... It's difficult to say what sort of pieces need to come together for them to start not only recognizing but also adapting to it, right? Because it's something that you're not prepared for in every instance, in every draft, and maybe not even something that you've drilled a whole lot of times, but suddenly in this game, it becomes a breaking point. And they're going to need to figure that out sooner rather than later, because they continually are running the Rift until the objectives.
Yeah, and it's so tough because you think, like, oh, we're winning. That means we get objectives. But, like, you have to recognize what your team comp is versus the enemy team comp. The enemy team comp is a death ball composition. Your team is more pick-oriented. You get the light binding down, or you get the sleep on a crucial target, or you get the Pantheon or the Maokai to jump on somebody important. And then that person's off the map. Then you can force those objectives because now there is a crucial part of the puzzle missing. These teams, they always seem to struggle getting that point across, and that really does kind of worry me when you look at the late game scaling here. Tristana is great. Lux is great in the late game individually. But when you look at how easy it is to perform the composition in the late game, just pushing R on everybody is so much easier to coordinate.
It really is. We'll see if Mythic Esports can piece that together, because at least for right now, the split push is really at least favoring them in ease of execution. They got an interesting 2-2-1 going, as Tetadur very much on his own right now.
Very much on the wrong side of the map here. It
literally doesn't matter, actually.
And the Baron is being hovered here, but they don't want to go for it. OTGG is going to be seen.
Oh, no, my lord. Wait, this is huge. There's so much, and everybody presses R. One wall, one mustache gets the wall up, but that mustache will have to wait until another day. Will ultimately be trading 1-for-1 right now, but let's see what they can clean up. Oh, my lord. Pure Salt. That is a huge slicing maelstrom and a huge ace for the side of the Syndicate. Once again, around a crucial objective.
Yeah, and I thought that might turn around there because the Lux ult was massive. That was a huge damage ultimate from Papapoose to hit everybody there. But it just wasn't enough because there was still more in the tank. They only used, like 3 ultimates on the 3 people there. You still had the Kennen ult to follow up, and Corando was pumping out enough damage that it did not matter. So great execution there, not blowing the entire tank on the few people they did catch, so that when everybody else showed up, Syndicate could still finish the job.
And that rockets them ahead, right? It looks like a very small gold lead, but having a Baron at this point in the game allows you to get so much more. Look at all of the towers that are up right now. That's so much standing gold for the Syndicate.
They're also going to have this Baron buff when this dragon spawns, which is their soul. If they have the ability to, they should be pushing this mid and bottom lane right now. Kennen can stay up in this top side. He has the TP, but we gotta sleep.
Good cleanse from Toxic Vein, throwing it all the way back to the beginning of the game when we pointed that out, but it won't save 0 TGG. Does end up falling.
And that's a great pick. That's awesome for Mythic, and what they really need to be doing right now. They got the pick onto OTGG. It's not a crucial target, and you're still losing stuff on the opposite side of the map, but it does take a Baron off the board. It gives them the pressure they need to get into this bot side blue jungle. That is a very crucial thing to have 30 seconds before a dragon spawns.
See, right now, Pure Salt pushing in this top lane.
Yeah.
Like cross map pressure is also something. Oh my god, something invaluable. I was struggling with something in my throat, and I realized it was just Corando's damage.
Keep coming. Pure Salt wants to go for this fight here.
So does Karanda right now. Oh my lord.
OTG coming down. Package is available here for Karando.
Headmaster so ridiculously low. Oh my god, OTG finds the huge engage and the R buttons are pressed. And oh my lord, you just see the board get wiped. One wall, one mustache with all of those kills is not going to be able to save his team. A triple kill goes to Karando, but it is symbolic in every way. The team worked so well together. All of them pressing that ultimate at the same time. They just leave no options for Mythic Esports.
Yeah, and the coordination consistently throughout this series has been in favor of Syndicate, as I do believe we actually have a surrender coming through.
Oh my lord!
Mythic just seeing the signs coming and just take the loss here. So Syndicate will close it out with the 2-0. Big congrats to them.
Yeah, and I mean, they make it look really convincing, right? And it's not convincing on a draft level, although the draft, of course, plays into how you play the game. It's convincing in the way that they play the game. The Syndicate certainly have holes in their mid-game performance, but it is so clear around objectives what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It is consistently, every time I have seen Syndicate, it has been a lot of working together. Karando, even when he's not on those super strong, like damage type carries, Karando is always kind of like leading the charge in some way or shape or form, or making some big play. The packages were absolutely absurdly strong. The MF ultimates were hitting everybody. The Kennen ultimates were hitting everybody. Syndicate is just, despite not having maybe as strong of a laning phase, they always have great coordination as a team.
That is absolutely for certain. Their laning phases, you're right, it did look a little bit shaky at times, although I do want to, of course, throw it back to last game when they did look like they were popping up ever so slightly more. I was pretty happy with that. Of course, their execution really bringing them to shine, and I actually want to know, Thousand Eyes, because the game did end so early, what are some of the holes that you think that they still need to shore up in a more specific way?
I think a big thing is recognizing team composition, like we said earlier in the cast. The when you have a Pantheon and you have like the Lilia, your team fight can be a little bit wonky because you don't have like that real strong and like late game tankiness to be able to go in and just catch multiple people. Sleep, obviously great at hitting multiple people, but it has to be able to like get on everybody, and that's not always consistent. What you see from these champions is not team fighting, and there were so many times where Mythic took team fights when they need to say like, we just lose these, we can't do this, and just take things on the other side of the map, seed things, let things happen if you have to, because you're just going to not only give the dragon, but you're also going to give a lot of kills alongside it if you try and fight it.
Yeah, it really did feel very, very snowbally around the objectives specifically, and I think it's a great point to like address how you're approaching them as you continue into the later games, because I mean, it's not just these teams that they're facing up against, right? It's not just this game. They're continuing to play in Style Esports, and that's certainly something that you're going to want to take a look at as you continue. Style Esports continuing all around us, though, is going to come to a close today on the stream. So I want to thank you, Thousand Eyes, of course, for joining me. It has been a pleasure to cast alongside you.
It's been a pleasure to cast alongside you, as well as I just mix my words.
That's okay. I completely understand. I've been doing it all night. A big thank you to Tori on production, of course, and to all of you for tuning in, to these teams for giving us such a great series to cast, and for Puffapoose, because that is a really fun name to say. Somebody shout that guy out. That's going to do it for us on Style Esports Season 6. Today's stream. Tune back in tomorrow for yet another game, and we will catch you next time.